Sex trafficking charges against billionaire Jeffrey Epstein are raising new questions about the Secretary of Labor's handling of a past Epstein case. I'm Natalie Brand on Capitol Hill with new reaction from lawmakers and President Trump.
You know, leaving a boardwalk at a sensitive thermal area here in Yellowstone National Park may not seem like such a big deal, but it is. It really is. I'm John Shearer in the park, and coming up, what happened to one man who decided to take a shortcut.
Good morning to you, 6:30 here on your Wednesday. I'm Missy O'Malley with Chet Lehman. Matt Elwell has our forecast here in just a moment. Our top story for you now. President Trump is defending Alex Acosta's performance as Secretary of Labor,
while saying he's going to look into Acosta's role in a non-prosecution agreement involving billionaire financier Jeffrey Epstein. CBS's Natalie Brand has the story this morning from Capitol Hill.
President Trump says he plans to take a very careful look at Labor Secretary Alexander Acosta's handling of a past criminal case involving billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. In 2008, Acosta was then a U.S. attorney in Florida who signed off on a secret plea deal that resulted in Epstein spending just 13 months in jail while avoiding federal charges.
I can only say this from what I know, and what I do know is that he's been a great, really great Secretary of Labor. The rest of it we'll have to look at. We'll have to look at it very carefully.
The president's comments came a day after Epstein was indicted on new charges of sex trafficking and conspiracy involving underage girls. In 2002, New York Magazine quoted Mr. Trump as saying Epstein was a terrific guy who also loved beautiful women, while noting that Epstein liked them on the younger side.
He was a fixture in Palm Beach. I had a falling out with him a long time ago. I don't think I've spoken to him for 15 years. I wasn't a fan.
Secretary Acosta has defended his handling of the past Florida case, but on Twitter Tuesday said he's pleased New York prosecutors are moving forward with a case based on new evidence. Still, there are mounting calls by Democratic lawmakers for his resignation.
It is now impossible for anyone to have confidence in Secretary Acosta's ability to lead the Department of Labor.
Earlier this year, the Department of Justice opened an investigation into the handling of that past Florida plea deal. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Natalie tells us the White House has not said what caused President Trump's falling out with Epstein. An attorney for the Trump Organization told the Washington Post that Epstein was banned from entering the president's Mar-a-Lago club after his first arrest back in 2007.
CBS this morning will be picking up that story at 7 coming up. Matt joins us now. Beautiful start to the day.
It's going to be fantastic. Outdoorable.
Outdoorable.
Yeah. It's sweet-smelling morning out there right now. It's just with all the botany around here, it just smells like a beautiful morning even.
Okay.
I love that. It's probably because garbage dump day was
It's a
yesterday.
good thing. That's true. Scratch and sniff television.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's it.
Temperatures this morning not bad, into the 50s for most of us. 37 in West Yellowstone. The clouds are kind of rolling in and out of our skies and will throughout the afternoon. Nice quick warm up for us. Temperatures should be into the 80s. Not a ton of bright sunshine. We'll see the clouds kind of making their way through the area through the afternoon and evening. We'll talk more about what you can expect getting a little closer to the weekend coming up in a few minutes.
Sounds good. I'm
Yes,
looking forward to that. Yes, it
No
does.
complaints.
Scratch a sniff. Scratch a sniff. It is 6:33. Our top story for you here out of the mining city. A woman in Uptown Butte was injured on Monday night after being shot in the leg.
Police are now trying to figure out how it all happened. The 33-year-old woman was shot in the calf by a small caliber bullet while leaving a home in the 400 block of North Wyoming Street a little before 10 o'clock. Police believe the shot came from inside the home, but investigators are still trying to figure out exactly how and why it happened. So far, no suspect. Victim has been treated and released from the hospital.
And one woman is dead and 2 others are injured after a motorhome crashed and rolled in Paradise Valley yesterday.
Montana Highway Patrol says it happened around 2:30 as the RV was headed south on US 89. Authorities say an elderly out-of-state woman was killed when the RV went off the right side of the road and rolled.
Another passenger and driver were both taken to the Livingston Hospital for treatment. Cause of the crash is still under investigation. And in other news, a California man gets jail time for walking off the boardwalk at Grand Prismatic Spring in Yellowstone National Park.
MTN's John Shearer reports from the federal court in Yellowstone.
Cameras are not allowed here at federal court in Mammoth, but we were present in the courtroom when Judge Mark Carman said, and these are his words, We will not tolerate people who damage resources. 28-year-old Jason Nguyen, seen here in a photo posted to social media by the person who reported him walking across sensitive algal mats at Grand Prismatic, appeared by phone from his home in the San Francisco Bay Area. He had reached a plea agreement with the U.S. Attorney to pay a $1,540 fine for walking hundreds of yards across the outflow stream for Grand Prismatic. In court, Nguyen told the judge he saw the signs warning visitors to stay on the boardwalks, but was in a hurry to pick up a friend at the airport, so he decided to take a shortcut. In later questioning, Nguyen admitted he was picked up by wardens at Old Faithful, where he went after Grand Prismatic. Judge Carmen noted Nguyen couldn't have been in too big a hurry if he went to the famous geyser before picking up his friend. The eyewitness who turned him in said Nguyen asked a friend he met in the parking lot if he got the shot. Nguyen argued in court he was referring to a good shot of the spring, not his illegal walk. Judge Carmen didn't buy it. He bypassed the sentencing deal, reducing the fine to $1,040, but tacked on 4 days in jail, plus 1 year's probation and a 1-year ban from Yellowstone National Park. The U.S. Attorney noted that the video of the shortcut across the algal mats went viral, and that the thousands or perhaps millions who see it need to be sent a strong message. Judge Carmen agreed with that assessment. He called Grand Prismatic one of the greatest scenic areas in the country. At Mammoth in Yellowstone National Park, I'm John Shearer for MTN News.
Now, at that hearing, Nguyen said he feels bad about damaging a sensitive area. He has 14 days to appeal that sentence.
Don't go off the boardwalk.
Big signs.
Oh my
pretty
goodness,
simple.
wow. And a year has passed since the lightning struck a tree in the Bacon Rind area near Custer-Gallatin National Forest near Big Sky.
For 3 months, crews worked to manage the fire, not put it out, as it burned more than 5,000 acres. T.S. Cody Boyer went to where it all happened on the 1-year anniversary.
We have to make the call whether we're going to immediately suppress that fire or manage that fire.
When you find yourself looking at a fire this large, this destructive, it was a tough call indeed, including for firefighter crews with the Custer-Gallatin National Forest, Yellowstone Park, and Gallatin County working together.
That first day we flew in a crew. They got out on the ground and got us a good size up on the fire, told us what it was burning in.
With big flames come big scars, still clearly visible to this day. As it burned, many, including West Zone Fire Management Officer Jeff Shanafelt, had to make bigger decisions.
Our first objective is always public and firefighter safety.
We made our way up into the charred mountains near Black Butte Ranch off Interstate 191. Meanwhile, Shanafelt and others like fire ecologist Todd Erdody explained why crews instead allowed it to burn.
There wasn't a whole lot of values at risk up there.
We had a very good snowpack. June was very wet, so the conditions were very right.
Also joining us, ecologist formerly of the University of Arizona, Duncan Patton, his wife too.
When you were letting this burn, that was really upsetting some people who were driving by or what have you. Why aren't they out there fighting this fire?
We protect the values at risk, whether that's point protection around a place like Black Butte Ranch.
Now out of this whole fire, Duncan points out up there in that little clearing, way up there, that's where it all started. He knows this because he had a front row seat. A stop during our tour, Black Butte Ranch, where Patton and his family were staying as the fire burned nearly in his backyard.
You could hear the fire crackling up on the hill.
Patton and the Custer-Gallatin National Forest Service say the same thing.
This is the classic example of the ladder effect of small spruce and fir coming up under old, mature, dying lodgepole. A lot of them have died because of the beetle kill from a few years ago.
The fire's just playing its natural role in the wilderness.
Now green is returning, and with evolving plant life, more fire resistant. The Bacon Rind fire taught each crew a valuable lesson.
By following the right science, we can manage larger fires on the landscape under the right conditions.
The Forest Service says the outlook for this year is promising. While that can change, there is no drought expected to help start something like this again. In Gallatin County, Cody Boyer, MTN News.